Greetings, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to this latest edition of Tales from Outer Space. Hope you enjoy. Story number 1. A Lesson of the Quiet Ones, written by Silent Pathwalker. It is a weird relationship aboard the ship. A group of borderline Haven World scientists on a ship crew with Deathworlder security soldiers. One would think that this would be the worst thing to do. Except the Deathworlders are humans. There are 50 crew on the ship. Only 10 of them are human. Human Alexander, what are you doing? A crew member that looked like a reptile had cautiously approached me, taking me out of my thoughts. Oh, hey Zebin. I'm just listening to my music and thinking about the mission and crew choice. I answered, pausing my music and giving them my attention. Why? Is something wrong? Zebin looked like what I think was their space equivalent of curious or embarrassed. I can never get those right. I have a few questions, if you don't mind answering them. Ah, they were curious. Sure, though I'm uncertain if I can give you the answers you want. This should be good. I wonder what my teammates did. I hope that it wasn't as bad as the last one. Trying to explain why paint makes things have expressions was hard. Jenkins, didn't do something again, did she? Human Jenkins did not do anything, but she brought up a confusing point. Zebin took a seat nearby and got out a datapad. Damn it, Jenkins, I swear if this is another painting issue, my foot is meeting your colon. I was speaking with your teammates about who is the best in your team. They all pointed out their specifications and experience, but not the best. When I asked who in the team they had never wanted to fight, they all answered, you. Zebin shifted in the chair. When I asked if that was because you are so nice, they all laughed and said that wasn't it. Human Jenkins has stated that all of the humans on board you are the most dangerous. She stated that you could possibly be the most cruel and brutal human aboard. Human Jenkins brought up how you are cold and uncaring about taking lives. I brought up the time that you shared some of your snack food with me and the others, and how you allow other crew members to use you to warm themselves. Human Jenkins said that those actions are what made you so dangerous. I was hoping that you could answer why your team said all of those things. Zebin seemed really curious about this. Oh, I guess Zebin would be confused on the matter. Well, they aren't wrong. The answer is really simple. Human pack bonding. I'm a little different from normal humans. I bond faster than most. Jenkins is a sister to me, while you are a cousin, even though we haven't been on the ship long. I also care deeply for my family. So if something wants to hurt my family, I tend to make sure that it doesn't. I hate bloodshed, but I am more than willing to cause it to protect my family. I can see Zebin shifting uncomfortably. The worst the crew has to worry about from me is that I might get a little rough if I have to get them out of danger fast. I hope that answers your question, Zebin. Yes, it does, cousin Alexander. Zebin took cousin as literal. That's nice. Though I still don't understand the term Human Jenkins used, as you don't seem to be silent. God damn it, Jenkins, my foot is meeting your ass. Zebins, did Jenkins call me a quiet one? That is the term that was used. End of story. Story number 2. Humans are a fecking plague, written by Infernalism. It was generally accepted that humanity are the worst race to be discovered in the galaxy. Every single race agrees with that notion, without exception, including a handful of sane humans that have abandoned their horrid empire. It had begun thousands of years ago, when the galactic core was dominated by the Zintics, an ancient insectoid species that filled the thousands of bright worlds, the worlds of the galactic core. Back then, the Zintics held sway in their endless patterns of activity. Hundreds of years of consumption, wiping out worlds without number, and then hibernation for hundreds of years, allowing the worlds to recover before being harvested again. The smarter species had evolved to hide deep and stay quiet in buried cities, eating fungus and eyeless fish in dark lakes and oceans. A sort of balance existed. If you didn't feck with the Zentics, they wouldn't feck with you and yours. There were even some thousands of species on the fringes of the outer arms of the galaxy that could actually thrive there. There was something like peace as long as you respected the patterns of consume and sleep. Then, the humans came. They came barreling into the galaxy from somewhere. No one knows. They were obviously from outside the galaxy, from some hellish place beyond our own stars. They were lucky enough to come in right as the Zentics were going down into a sleep cycle. The bastards came in and immediately bypassed all of the fringe worlds and immediately set up upon the Zentics worlds. Did they come to fight? No, of course not. The bastards attacked while the Zentics slept and wiped them out while they slept. 100,000 worlds, the near entirety of the Bright Worlds, the Zentics worlds, were all taken. The humans used horrific weapons, nuclear and biological, and, worst of all, their nano-assemblers. They would dump this grey goo into the atmosphere of the Zentics world and keep going. The goo dispersed, lands on the surface and immediately begins consuming everything, right down to the bedrock, down to the mantle itself. Every Zentics hive, every tunnel, every buried hatchery, everything, consumed and then remade, terraformed into wild worlds full of life and resources. They used the Zentics themselves, their very bodies and eggs, to remake these worlds. You'd think that was enough, but no, they didn't stop there. Once the Zentics were effectively genocided, they turned to the rest of us. By then, they're traitors, they're refugees and exiles, the ones who had internally rebelled when the human empire decided to wipe out the Zentics without mercy. They'd come to us with scraps of tech and wisdom and lore and gave away the secrets of the humans. They were monsters, genetically enhanced monsters. They craved nothing less than the total destruction and subjugation of every species. But they were cowards at heart and only attacked the weak and solitary, those that stood alone. We saw proof of that as the human fleets turned on solitary worlds, disabling and destroying orbital defenses. But again, the exile showed us how to use radio waves and friendly AI to disable the human ships and drive them off. Each time we arrived before the much damage had been done, but the solitary world, scarred by the experience and desperate for a revenge, would join up. A network of stronger worlds were coming together, you see, networking and contributing unique technologies and talents. The humans couldn't handle it. Each time they invaded another system, calls for help would go out and the galactic fleets would come. Each time, the solitary world saw the value of adding strength to strength. It was the only way to stop the humans who had taken to threatening whole arms of the galaxy by now. They were so slavering for conquest and destruction that they simply ignored the hundreds of thousands of terraformed worlds that they had taken from the Zentics. They didn't even bother trying to colonize them. So, of course, the galactic fleets and the nascent government needed to maintain war fleets took to them. There were so many of no species bothered even arguing over them, much less fighting. Thus, the exiled humans told us there was more than enough for everyone. They even provided maps showing how each species could have a whole vast section for itself, with everything they needed. They were useful. Finally, every arm was being invaded. The humans were making one last play to dominate, but the galactic fleet sprung the trap on them, using the AI viruses and radio attacks to disable most of the human fleet's weapons and drone craft. Most of the human fleets were destroyed in that battle. Only a small handful of human ships fled back into the vastness of the intergalactic space. They never returned. By that point, it turned out that the handful of Zentec colonies missed before woke up and set about their consumed patterns, but were stopped and regrettably wiped out by the galactic fleet. They simply refused to listen, or even try and communicate. In respect and appreciation, the Galactic Union gave a whole arm of the galaxy to the humans. They rest there now, occasionally offering advice, but mostly ignored by the rest of the species. They're useful, but there's a reminder of horrible days and monsters that still exist out there. Few people really trust them, but they are allowed to exist on their own, while the rest of the galaxy continues to build and grow and prepare for the eventuality of the human empire's return. We are grateful, understand, but there are cousins to monsters. John, I know you like these kinds of first-hand outlooks and perspectives from the average Union citizen. Well, here you go. Thought you'd like it. I changed the time/space designators and units because not everyone can understand a dozen alien languages. Deal with it. Will Tennyson, head of the New Earth's Intelligence and Extra-Governmental Guidance. End of story. I would just quickly like to thank the T5 channel members and patrons. Caspar Arnholtz, Cam Maxwell, Barkey, It's Difficult to Pronounce, Lord Azrakul, and Arcadian.